All right, Mom. Question and answer time. What are the 5 sewing things that you've bought and then tossed out? What's overrated that you wouldn't buy again?
I wish I had them so I could show you. So, you know those big round magnet things where people throw pins and needles and anything?
The thing everyone buys when they start?
Yes, yeah. So I used to have one and found it as a clutter catch-all, really useless thing. And just, so I tossed that years ago. Don't waste your money on it, in my opinion.
All right, fair enough.
If you want a magnet,
Yeah,
like you drop your pins on the floor, which I do constantly.
all the time. At least once per project.
At least once per project. I prefer the extendable magnet because this pins, when they fall, they go under your table, they go everywhere. And so this you can actually get down and around and everywhere without getting down on your hands and knees and picking up all your pins. So extendable magnet.
What else would you throw away?
My preference would be to throw away gadgety measuring tapes. I know we have a few of these in the shop. Look, see, it's already starting to fail. So these break. These are failure prone. They're convenient, but they're failure prone. Again, I would stick with my old trusty measuring tape. That's just a measuring tape, and it's got metric and standard measures on it, but like I've had this one for over 20 years. It's in perfect condition.
And if you cut through that one, like I might have done, it still works. Unlike the retractable.
It's just 2 pieces. Try not to cut through your measuring tapes.
I mean, like sometimes it happens, okay?
Yes.
All right, so no big magnet, no fancy measuring tapes. What else would you throw away?
All metal, like these heavy old school shears. Don't want to name names, but like you've seen them, all silver, all gold, heavy metal shears. Your hand fatigues. If you're sewing all day or even for a few hours and you're cutting out a large project, your hand's going to be really tired. So just buy a shear that is affordable and comfortable and cuts fabric well.
What about those little tiny scissors that look like cats or butterflies?
Yeah, those are for aesthetic. I'm a functional, practical person. If you want things to decorate your room with, buy decor. Don't waste your money on expensive scissors that,
Fair enough. What are your thoughts on friction pens?
Friction pens have their place.
We clearly have them when we use them.
We do. Here's one. Friction pens, you have to be careful with friction pens. So I have a love-hate relationship with friction pens. These are the pens that they are, if you apply heat to them, they erase, supposedly. Now, in cold weather or extreme heat, you will get lines back. You will get your marking lines back. So the color won't come back, but you'll get a white line on your fabric wherever you made, or whatever, if you made a circle or a square, that will come back and show back up. So you want to make sure, if you're using a friction pen, I wouldn't ever use them in garment sewing. I would use something like a tailor's chalk or a marking pencil, something non-soluble, like not a water-soluble marker or a heat-soluble marker if you're doing garment sewing. These are good for like quilting, but make sure you keep them within your seam allowance margin. Don't mark, where you could be stitching on the inside of that mark, because lines will come back and quilts have been ruined.
Can you use just a regular pencil?
Regular pencils work great. I used them for a long, long time. Also, just regular chalk, like children's chalk at school. Yeah.
What else? What else would you throw away?
I bought these pattern weights. I won't show the brand, but I bought these pattern weights, and for me, I have to be desperate to use these. Honestly, I find they get in the way. There are times when I when you have to use a pattern weight and you can't, pin the pattern to the fabric to get a nice clean cut, like if you're using a pleather or a leather or something like that, you don't want to put a pin in it. So you need weights, but I think they're extremely expensive for what you get, and they're generally, like, these are an inch tall. And if you're moving a ruler around to, like maybe adding seam allowance or something to your pattern, they just get in the way, and you're constantly moving them, and then your pattern shifts. So what I would do, like old cell phones, if you have an old cell phone laying around, that makes a great pattern weight because it's thin, it's much larger, and it will hold your pattern down just fine. I have 2 or 3 of them that I've gone through the years. They work great as pattern weights. Also, you can just go to like your home improvement store that's nearby and just buy some sample tiles. They usually have them on sale for a few pennies, maybe 50 cents a tile or something. Get a small tile, put some felt on the back of it, glue some felt on the back of the tile, and you've got a nice low profile pattern weight that's very inexpensive.
Nice. Last one.
Rotary cutters. Rotary cutters, again, love-hate relationship. This is a tool that you should use for what it's made for. So quilters, if you're doing a lot of quilting or a lot of large cuts, rotary cutters were meant to be used. They were designed to be used with a ruler, and you butt the blade up against the ruler and you get your straight mark. So absolutely for quilters, they come in different sizes from 9mm all the way up to 60mm, depending on how many layers of fabric you're cutting. So they do have a purpose, and I have them, but I would not use them in garment sewing because you don't get as accurate of a cut with a rotary cutter when you're cutting around curves and body shape patterns. So not for garment. For straight cutting, great.
Awesome. Thanks, Mama.